when we're here, okay, when we start to get a little bit deeper in and the person wants to defend, okay, if I'm making the inversion here, I start from underneath, Emily knows that she wants to keep her hips flat to the mat. So if I can't throw the person's hips up into the air, I'm not going to be able to finish the position. So a lot of the time she'll put her hands on the mat like this and then try to push the hips in, like pushing your tailbone into the mat. And that can make it difficult to be able to do the position. And also, if I'm loose with my legs, if she scoots back here, now when I try to go, it's very hard to take the back. So when we get upside down here like this, okay, if you find that you can't lift the person's hips up, what I want you to do is keep both your feet tucked into the body like this, okay? So I can actually flex this and try to throw it across, or I can keep it tucked. But if you feel that you can't throw the legs, we're gonna have to change the position slightly. So the foot that was the De La Riva hook, now I'm gonna clamp this in here to make a little bit of space to put my other knee behind her knee. So look, I make a little bit of space and my knee goes in behind the knee like this, okay? So both of my legs are hooking the leg that initially was the one I was doing the De La Riva on, like this, okay? So even if she wants to scoot back here, I can still keep the hips held in place by using my knee against her legs. There's another variation from here where you can hold like this if you know it. This is like a waiter sweep position. Don't worry about it if it just doesn't make sense, but just so you know, when I do get upside down and the person's hips won't come into the air, I can start to switch my knee that was across the body in behind and then clamp to make a hook on the leg. And now I can start to work towards the back. So when I'm here, okay, I'm gonna be stretching. I like to put my foot on the back and then make a hook. This is called a crab hook, like this, okay? And this crab hook is the key for taking people's back, especially if they're like useful at defending, okay? So when you start to make this crab hook, there's gonna be a few details that you need to pay very close attention to, but the main thing that I want you to notice is that I'm torquing the person's knee, okay? So my knee is torquing into the hip and my foot is flexing the leg like this, okay? So I have tension with the hook. So this might be a little bit confusing. So if we go back a tiny bit here, so look, I'm going Berimbolo, I can't lift the hips. My De La Riva leg clamps to make a bit of space. My other knee comes in behind like this to clamp the leg. From here, I'm going to be stretching and putting what was my De La Riva foot onto the back of the calf, and then my other leg is making a hook like this, okay? If you actually just stand up, this will make more sense, just stay standing. If you guys know this, the Berimbolo, I'm doing the exact same thing with my leg, okay? So, but this hook is tense, it's tense, there's tension there. So, I sit the person down, I start to go all the way inverted. I feel like I can't lift the hips here. Okay, I'm gonna make a clamp with my leg, with my De La Riva leg, so my free knee can come in behind and I have a good grip on the leg like this. From here, I'm gonna start to step on the calf so that I then make the the crab hook with my leg like this. Key detail with the crab hook is that it stays very tight, so my foot is flexed and my knee is torqued in. We're gonna have to move back over, so move back over here. The next bit is really important detail for actually taking the person's back, okay? So when you do go upside down here, and you start to make this grip, if you guys can see my elbow, look what I'm gonna do with my legs, I'm gonna lift the hips up, and then put my elbow underneath her elbow, like a wedge under the hip like this. I find that the closer I put my hand to the base of her spine, and the more I can put my elbow, and if anyone can't see, feel free to come around. This wedge underneath makes it very, makes it like have much more of a chance of getting the person's back. Because what I'm doing is, look, my hand is just strong, it's a strong fist, my elbow is supporting her back. If she wants to scoot her hips back, she can't because my elbow keeps this in and it doesn't take a lot of strength for me. And then my crab hook is keeping the hook in tight like this. And then I have to keep my free leg close to this foot here to help open the legs out like this. Now from here, because the hips are off the mat, if I just move the hips over to the side, what happens is the side where I'm doing the crab hook on, this knee is still torquing in, so I can throw my other hook in, and the torque from this knee will actually let me just pull her back on top of me like this, and I can take the back. So when I'm showing it now, I'm doing it super loose just so you can see the individual bits of the position, and if you need help, you can just call me over as we're doing it. But these Just crab hook and then stacking the hips with your elbow makes it much easier to take the person's back when they start to defend, and it gives you a more dynamic game for when you have to invert a bit more and then try to chase the back. So if we try this one again. So I'm here, okay, everything's the exact same. Knocking the person over, I grab the hip and then I start to invert. I switch from the pants, the near side pants to the far side pants, but when I try to throw the hips up, okay, they're not moving. I'm gonna clamp to make some space, put my knee in behind, and have both of my legs are gonna clamp the leg here. From here, this foot, that's on top, the one that's the del heave and not the knee that's in behind, is gonna go up the calf, and then the foot that was the knee in behind makes the crab hook like this, and I use this to lift the hips up and then stack with my elbow. So my elbow's stacked underneath the hips like this, like a support against the building. Once we're here, okay, very easy, assuming that you're keeping good tension with the hook, I torque the knee in. So if you guys can see, look, if you see my left knee, so this one over here, this is what it looks like when the knee is loose. When the knee is tense, it looks like this. So I'm always trying to pull. Imagine if you had like a piece of fruit in between the person's knee and your hip. I want to crush that like this. Okay, my foot is flexing. So now from here, I can start to literally sit the person's hips down on top of my knee. And then when they sit down, I put my top hook in. I'm just going to pull the arm and pull all the way over to the other side. And now I start to lock up the seatbelt as I put the second hook in. If you find this difficult to do, feel free just to practice making this torque here. Okay, so look, the knee wants to be pinched into the hip, and my foot is flexing to torque the person's leg like this. This is really key. You'll feel when the person does this to you, how much this locks your leg in place. It's very hard to get the hips free, and then the elbow under the hips to stack makes it easier to take the back. So if we do this one more time, do it real slow. Notice the tension on the knee here all the time, and then grab it. We'll do one fast. When you're drilling it, guys, drill this really slow, and then you can start to add in a bit of speed as we go to be able to take the person's back.